Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I am back. First off, I want to say sorry that this video's gonna come out a little bit later than normal. I'm gonna be honest, I just get caught up doing certain things or other stuff in general sometimes, and this is kind of what happens, right? I kind of get a little bit late. I want to try my best to stay daily. I know I say that quite a bit, and then something comes up, but that's what I've been trying to do. So yes, this video is coming out a little bit later than normal, excuse me, but I still want to try my best to stay daily. So here we are. I'm trying to stay daily, and this is what if Deku had a Zenkai boost Quirk, obviously part 2 of 2. And if you guys enjoy, please show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. Make sure to check the links in the description for the Spotify, the Discord, and also the membership, all that stuff. Now, with all that said, I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into where we left off. So let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is, let's just say, preparing for his provisional hero license exam. Obviously, some things did occur. We saw All Might take down All for One. We saw some things happen here and there, and it seems as if All for One's plans have gone down the drain, at least for the moment. So it gives Izuku and all the other students some time to actually figure out necessarily, or for the most part, figure out what they're going to do and what's going to happen very, very soon. And for the most part, this gives Izuku a chance and everyone else a chance to prepare for their eventual arrival or the eventual chance at being a hero. And that's exactly what they want to get into, and exactly what they want to do in the first place, become heroes. And the provisional hero license exam is a pretty basic one. And this would approach, or the provisional license exam would approach, and there will be some key factors that they're going to have to keep in mind. For starters, a lot of these students actually know of what of class 1A and actually know what they're capable of. Well, that's except for Izuku Midoriya, being that he actually wasn't a part of the UA Sports Festival entirely. So yes, in normal, yes, they do have a heads up on him, but they also don't have a heads up on their progression, and their progression was a lot more than normal. So they don't actually have much to worry about, and they don't necessarily have some drastic disadvantage to worry about either. And of course, Izuku has his kind of whole thing where he helps out a lot of the students, helps out here and there, does what he possibly can, but he also gets actually put in a interesting situation. A situation where he thinks that this person is, well, a different person, but it turns out this person that he actually fights or goes head to head with by the name of Kami actually isn't who she is. Now, he doesn't know this necessarily, but he eventually would learn that this person was Himiko Toga, but it seems like she had an overarching plan that she was going through herself, or at least that's what the preparations kind of looked like. Now, after all this is said and done, after he gets his 2 outs, and after he eventually gets his chance to basically get his tags and go on to the very next round, which would be the final round or the rescue portion of that round, and he would get his 2 outs and then head off to that next portion after helping some of his classmates and yada yada yada, right? He would help quite a bit of his classmates and help out here and there with anything they kind of need in terms of trying to potentially get onto that next round as well. And all of class 1A would head on to that next round. The rescue portion would begin, and Izuku would have a multitude of options to approach things with. The main one that he would approach is kind of helping out where he can in terms of lifting up heavy things, maybe scouting different areas, and so on and so forth. Izuku still only has the ability to utilize, well, technically 2 quirks, being that of One for All, and also his ability to utilize his Zenkai boost quirk, which is obviously a little bit different. Now, it's not your traditional run-of-the-mill quirk, so it's not like he has to activate it to a large extent, but it is something that he can utilize. And Izuku still has not awakened another quirk. Now, some things are going to have to happen for him to actually awaken that quirk, right? Some things are going to have to occur for him to actually awaken another quirk that he hasn't shown. But for now, Izuku has a pretty easy time dealing with everything that ensues within the rescue portion of the Provisional Hero License exam. And after it is all said and done, and after Gang Orca shows up with his fake villains, Izuku is on the front lines helping out where he can, and also on the front lines kind of dealing with Gang Orca head to head, being that Izuku is able to utilize such a high level of one for all, being able to utilize, like, we're talking 55% easily, if not a lot higher than that after the massive amount of training. So he's probably more like he could utilize about 70% very easily, as if he's not utilizing it very much at all. And it seems like his power, his strength, and everything continues to accelerate, and his preparation for what's happening and his preparation for everything that's going on continues to prove to be a lot higher than anyone else's preparation. And Izuku Midoriya shows off and shows everybody that his capabilities right now and right here and right now, I mean, it's obvious that he basically can handle almost everything coming his way. And Izuku does just that. He handles the the arrival of Gang Orca, the other villains and stuff like that, and he easily handles it, and he easily handles everything, right? In general, in terms of this kind of portion of the exam. Now, of course, we do still have a little bit of kind of back and forth with obviously between Todoroki and Inasa, and they have their own little spats, right? Their own little, like, back and forths, and of course they're always going to have those, and they have to deal with it the way they have to deal with it. And Izuku helps out a large amount because he's able to take a little bit of that attention away when he faces off with Gang Orca, and really a lot of people are locked in on basically how well he will fight against Gang Orca himself. But if the rumors are true and he has gone toe-to-toe with All Might, it's obvious that this will not be your run-of-the-mill fight. It's obvious that this will not be your run-of-the-mill 1 versus 1. Izuku Midoriya has every advantage here, and he proves the entire time why that is the case, and proves that he really does have every single advantage in this regard. He utilizes one for all at a high level, and his already built-in strength itself is so high and so powerful that he's able to take out and defeat Gang Orca. And as the sirens would go off, he would eventually get his test scores back to know that he actually got a borderline perfect score. Now, I say borderline because he's not, fully perfect in terms of the score, but for the most part, he is. He is pretty high up there in terms of the score, and pretty high up there in terms of what he has shown he is capable of. And after all this is said and done, after everything that occurred, and after all of Izuku's kind of work and practice and all this stuff, he finally would be granted his Provisional Hero License. And that right there would allow him to step forward into a chance to work with various different agencies and also work at different work studies. And by all means, he gets a ton of different offers. He gets a wild amount of them because of all the rumors and all the things on the idea of him actually being stronger than All Might, or at least has taken on All Might to a large extent. But the one person that really catches his eye is Sir Nighteye. Now, of course, he does get tested by Mirio, and his whole class gets tested by Mirio. And the fight between him and Izuku, Mirio and Izuku Midoriya, is a pretty interesting one. Yes, because in raw strength, does he outclass Mirio? Yes, of course. But in terms of, like, raw technique and all this other crazy nonsense that goes on with the quirk of Mirio's permeation, I mean, it makes things pretty interesting, right? It makes things pretty interesting in the fight itself. But overall, Izuku would have the best, or would be able to beat Mirio in this, basically this type of fight. Now, after Izuku beats him, quote unquote, doesn't necessarily like full on like knock him out or anything like that, but he does defeat him. he is given the offer to basically work with Sir Nighteye, or at least kind of be the sidekick or one of the sidekicks of Sir Nighteye. Now, in terms of the tests that he goes through with Sir Nighteye, they don't really exist. Izuku kind of already has proper attention from everybody and has kind of already proven himself to everybody. So the idea of him testing and the idea of him, you know, kind of putting himself up to a certain extent, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal, right? At the end of the day, he has proven day in and day out that he is at that insane level. There's a massive kind of deal for him, right? There's a big deal for him in terms of his progression. So he gets put on with Sir Nighteye and they talk for a little bit about what he's trying to seek and really what kind of hero he's trying to be, and also the fact that he is the successor to All Might. So Sir Nighteye is a bit hard on him to an extent, but when they do a tiny bit of sparring, it's proven, or the proof is in the pudding, with how well he basically can take on people and also how well he can really do in the feat of battle. And at the end of the day, Izuku shows the entire time that he was very deserving of One For All. And it seems like he went further beyond the idea of him training, because he also knows martial arts. He also knows various different techniques. And Sir Nighteye respects that. He thinks that very highly of Izuku for that. And for that case, he puts him in a pretty good standing, and eventually puts him and Mirio together, where they're actually going to go out and they're going to work together, and they're going to actually do some sort of kind of patrols together as well. But they wouldn't expect to actually literally run into the person they're looking for almost immediately, running into Overhaul pretty quickly, but deciding to actually let him go. This isn't something that Izuku wanted. He was pissed that they did it in the first place, but eventually they decided to do that, and it puts a totally different mindset on Mirio as well to push forward, and on top of that, kind of put himself in a better scenario next time. And what happens is that Izuku and Mirio kind of team up to find Overhaul. Well, once they invade the Shie Hassaikai base, Izuku goes blitzing through with Mirio, and eventually they would come across him, and a 2 versus 1 would ensue. But the idea is to get Eri out of there as soon as possible, in which Izuku tells Mirio initially, let me take on Overhaul and you handle this, right? You get her out of here. In which Mirio doesn't listen necessarily, so Izuku takes it upon himself to get Eri and get her out of there. So he does just that, getting her at a safe distance, and then dashes back in to actually help out Mirio. And when he comes back, Mirio is not only holding his own, but winning the fight. At the end of the day, Mirio only lost because he had to defend Eri because of the bullet. And if the bullet gets sent his way this time around, it doesn't matter. He can permeate straight through it. And of course, Mirio is definitely holding up his end of the bargain, excuse me. He's holding his end of the bargain here. And Izuku just comes in to help out. And eventually it leads to the knockout and the clean knockout of Overhaul himself. And making it so Sir Nighteye doesn't get hurt. Mirio doesn't get his quirk taken or lost, really. His quirk gone. And all this stuff doesn't necessarily even have to happen. And Izuku would then help with the defeat of Overhaul, the capture of many other villains, and eventually the complete destruction of the Shie Hassaikai base. And everybody is captured, put in cuffs and put behind bars. But they have so much else to deal with. But Izuku first off has to deal with his own class and his own training. And that would be Class 1A versus Class 1B, in which Izuku does have a chance, some joint training, to actually take on some of his own classmates. And this is where his brand new quirk would be revealed, that being of Black Whip. And when Black Whip is revealed, it not only takes everybody back, but it takes him by absolute surprise. But with the utilization of the powers he already has, and his ability to really conform to learning how to utilize a quirk, he's able to get it under control to a certain extent, and figures it out with the help of Ochako. leading to him and his own team defeating the likes of the entirety of Class 1B with the added person of Shinso. Obviously defeating Rui, obviously defeating Monoma, right, and Shota, and also Reiko, defeating them in spectacular fashion. And Izuku shows off the kind of the level he's at when he's utilizing 90%, if not even higher, of One For All itself, combined with his already enhanced strength from his Zenkai boosts, and he continues to get minor Zenkai boosts over and over again as his training is amped up and his workload is amped up, with him getting more injured, him getting more hurt, and all the above. Now, he doesn't get hurt a ton recently, or doesn't really get hurt that often in general now, but in terms of just training and stuff like that, it allows for training to be a lot more rough and a lot more hurtful in a way, because it allows him to even get stronger than he is at this moment. Every cut, every bruise, it all adds up, and it all makes him that much stronger, even if it's just minimal, even if it's just that tiny bit of 0.5%, even if it's just 1%. All of these things, right? Little bit of percent, even if it's just a tiny bit of growth, Izuku definitely feels it, and he definitely feels the chance of getting stronger, definitely feels that he's getting more powerful, and he definitely feels like this is basically my chance. This is my chance to get even more powerful. This is my chance to continuously get more powerful, and he shows this the entire time. He shows that he really is capable of being a high-level hero, even a higher-level hero than some that exist right here and right now. And after all this is said and done, after Class 1A versus Class 1B finishes up, and as Izuku is obviously, Izuku obviously defeats, Class 1B, even with the help of Shinso, Izuku now has the chance to continue on with various different agencies. Now, obviously, he's more loyal to Sir Nighteye's agency for the most part. He does get a chance to work with Endeavor's agency from time to time, learning more and more, and also even training with Bakugo a little bit, putting their kind of their kind of weird relationship / friendship aside for a bit, so that they can actually learn how to be better at what they're doing. And that includes Izuku, right? Izuku wants to get better with Black Whip and get better at like moving around and stuff like that. And Bakugo is really good at doing that. So Izuku gets help from Bakugo and gets, a chance to really learn from Bakugo and learn from everyone else, learning how to utilize Black Whip to a higher degree. And he'll need it because months later, something would happen. Months later, something would occur where they didn't expect this to happen, but it seems like a giant monstrous creature is actually running down one of the cities, and the creature itself is about to make contact with a nearby prison. And this right here is the prison that holds Shigaraki, holds All For One, and holds so many other villains that were put behind bars. And Izuku is also watching as many other heroes were sent there, or many other villains were sent there as well, being that of like Muscular, Dabi, Toga, Twice, and many others, ready to get the Wonder Boy of Shigaraki out of there ASAP. And as all this is happening, as all this is occurring, every single one of the heroes are on high alert, and they go there because of, certain information that they were given via a intruder by the name of Hawks, and Hawks gives them proper information, and information that gives them a chance to actually react to what's going to happen. And they all converge on this incoming threat that they actually knew months in advance about, and they head in to take down whatever is to come, and that includes Gigantomachia and various other villains. And Izuku, he is on the front lines to take on Gigantomachia himself, believing that his strength is high enough and well enough that he can actually help out with taking this thing down. stopping this thing in his tracks, and that is exactly the case. He utilizes Black Whip to wrap him up and try to get him on the ground, and he holds him, trying to allow Midnight and many others to actually get the kind of pheromone-like, sleep-like agent into his system. And as he's holding him still, as he's using all of his strength to do just that, stop this from happening, stop the release of some of the most dangerous villains alive, Izuku holds him still, stops him, and eventually they would fall asleep. They would go to sleep entirely. But while this is happening, it seems like other villains, twice Toga of Dabi, have opened up the walls and are trying to release the villains. But as Gigantomachia is out cold, and as the other villains aren't even out of their cells just yet, the other heroes swoop in, being able to defeat the likes of Dabi, Toga, and many others, stopping the eventual kind of escape of, well, All For One, and also Shigaraki, and even Kurogiri. Now, after all this is said and done, after this is all stopped and put to an end, Izuku basically is in a spot where he not only proved or has proven that his level of being a hero is potentially on track, if not already there, at being a full-fledged hero. But it doesn't mean he's allowed to be one until he graduates from UA. And that's exactly where Izuku's eyes and his focus goes to after they are able to halt this villain kind of rescue mission to try to escape the prison that they were put in the first place. And after all this is done, after the villains were unable to escape, and after the villains were stopped in their tracks, Izuku Midoriya continues on to finish off his first year of UA, leading him to a second and then eventual third year, gaining access to even being part of the Big Three. Being part of that Big Three is very important, and Izuku is really looked at as the #1 student from his first year to his second year to even his third year, with Bakugo, of course, pissed at the fact that he hates the idea that he's falling behind. But Izuku continues to get stronger with every scratch, with every mark, with every little bit. Izuku gets stronger and stronger. But soon, when they're eventually kind of getting to the point where he's getting vastly stronger, awakening these quirks, he soon realizes and hears that his utilization of One For All, well, let's just say, could backfire. And he is basically in his third year being told that since his quirks are being awakened and all this stuff is happening, his body won't be able to handle it, and there's a good chance that he may just die, and he'll die very early in age. In which Izuku hears this and thinks that this can't be true. Like, are you serious? Like, there's a chance of me dying? In which obviously conversations happen because of this, and conversations happen with this idea. And him being in his third year, that's a very long time, especially a long time in the regard of, well, you know, the idea of him basically needing to be rewound in a way back to before he even got One For All in the first place. So there is no real conversation about utilizing Aries' quirk, or at least not now, until she's way more prepared. Because she's not strong enough. She's nowhere near strong enough, and probably doesn't even have enough energy conserved to actually do something like that. So of course they kind of, decide to stay away from that idea. They don't want Aerie to overexert herself or even hurt herself at all. So they stay away from that idea and hope that one day something comes up that eventually he will have that chance to actually get rid of, or kind of put One For All on the back burner and maybe only utilize his own quirk. And this puts him in a place where he actually stops using One For All for a while, even throughout his third year. He's still a very strong hero and very capable, especially with his already passive ability to get stronger. But of course, Izuku has other kind of issues with the whole lack of One For All quirk, and eventually, well, he has to really make that decision. Does he utilize One For All and eventually have to pass on early in age, or does he not? Does he hope that him not utilizing his quirk, or him kind of doing what he's doing right now, allows him to live just a good bit longer, so that he doesn't pass on at the same age that so many other users did as well? And that's a choice that is extremely hard, but he knows that him living is how he can truly make the most difference. So that's what he's going to do, keep living on for as long as possible. But who knows, maybe one day Eri will be strong enough to rewind him back to a time where he doesn't even have, well, One For All in the first place, giving him the opportunity to grow in strength and power without the, well, eventual kind of cripple of One For All itself. Being that One For All puts a cap on his own age and puts him in a situation where he doesn't know how long he'll be a hero truly, but at least that's what he can hope for. But that's not what he's determined to like lean on. He'll be a hero no matter what, and if he really needs to utilize One For All, he'll do just that. And he has thought about passing on the quirk of One For All as well, but that doesn't change the fact that he'll pass on his own quirk, essentially creating himself to be quirkless and giving the problem away as well, making someone else's life that much harder. But still, the journey of Izuku Midoriya might not be over, especially when it comes to him becoming and being the hero he wants to be so badly. But it doesn't mean we have much else to say, and Izuku Midoriya's life may be changing forever, but Izuku Midoriya's choices, well, at the end of the day, they're up to him. And Izuku Midoriya has a choice, two, in fact. Stray away from utilizing the quirk that helped you so much and saved so many lives, or basically decide to utilize the quirk until the wheels fall off and basically leave this world unprotected, or at least unprotected from Izuku Midoriya. But with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did, please show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, and leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed this What If. Hope you guys enjoyed What If Deku had a Zenkai boost quirk, and if you did, like I said, show some love to the video. And with all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.